What is up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Bullish's Top Stocks to Watch for the week and why. And before we get into it, as always, hey, these are only my opinions. I'm not a financial planner. This is just kind of what I'm watching, not necessarily playing for the upcoming week, but I wanted to show kind of what I was looking at, but also why I was looking at it. If you disagree, cool. Let's talk about it. You can follow me, real underscore bullish, wherever you get your social media poison. That's Twitter. Instagram, stock twits, pretty active there, but also realbullish.com. Go and sign up for our newsletter, start sending out some blog posts, some newsletter stuff, and just some general knowledge and have some fun with it. But anyways, jumping into it, I have three that I'm looking at this week. AOUT, that's I think outdoor, American Outdoors, PENN National Gaming, PENN, and PayPal. Those three I'm looking at this week, and I'll tell you exactly why. But first, looking into it, hopefully you can see my screen. It's American outdoor brands, and basically what they are a consolidation of a lot of different brands across different things, so whether it be fishing, shooting, general outdoor merriment and hiking and stuff. They kind of run the gamut from ammo to things to help you kind of stay cool in the outdoor weather, water gear, stuff like that. So they really have that outdoor niche really solidified. It's, as you can see on the screen, they basically have been trading only since, relatively recently. They started trading, 820, right? So, just not even, a whole year yet, though, that they have. Oh, well, yeah, I guess about a year that they've been trading publicly. But anyways, I liked it because it's an earning play for me. So they have earnings on 9/9 after market close. And when I was looking at it, there's a few interesting things. I'm really bullish on outdoor things in general. And I think that if you go to outdoorindustry.org, they had this kind of recent post where they said, in 2020, 53% of Americans ages 6 and over participated in outdoor recreation at least once, the highest participation record for outdoors on record, right? So I think that like COVID has kind of like kept us indoors, but also kind of yearn for outdoors. And I don't see that going backwards. When I go outside and I see people like running or working out or, hiking, on the water, going hunting, more people are doing it. I think because we've been stuck inside more people are kind of yearning to kind of go out. And I think that's a great thing to do. But anyways, they have AOUT has earnings, like I said, 9/9 after market close. And what's great about them, when I looked into it, they have a 300% increase same quarter, year over year increase to their EPS. So looking at this time last year, they have a 300% earnings per share estimated increase. I thought that was really interesting one to look at because that's one of the highest that I've seen over the past recent months. They don't have a long track record, as we see. They've only been trading for about a year publicly right now, so they don't have a super long track record. So you got to kind of take that in consideration. But I have a couple things that I like it for. They are 50% under what the average analyst price target is on YouTube. So that is something to be like considering because, when it gets to like 50, 60% under what the average price target is, again, I kind of get a little bit worried because that shows kind of like underlying downtrends for the stock, if not the industry, the stock specifically. This is kind of right at that border. Usually 60, like when I looked at apps, was the cutoff. But if you look at apps now, it was a great company to get into. It was just finding when that bottom or at trough was to get into it because apps is like up like 20% from when originally went out when they kind of bottomed out. So, anyways, that's something to keep into consideration. But also, what I like, what I am looking for them, since they have only been trading for about a year, they don't have a lot of history yet. But over the last 3 quarters that they've reported, they beat 100% of the time. So, I always like putting numbers on my back, right, to kind of have those tailwinds with me. But only other times that they've release earnings, they've only raised 50% after earnings, but they've been in a huge uptrend. So, I think it bodes well, even though it's a relatively trading relatively new, they do show to beats, but also like raise 50% of the time. But when you have a 300% increase to your EPS, that's going to get eyebrows raised, right? I don't see any price targets coming in. I would love to see that. Can get some red wine real quick. I want to see some price targets coming in to really feel good about it, but I think it's a really good one to catch, especially being a newer company and kind of getting with those tailwinds. But also, so when I look at it, hey, let's just jump into the chart real quick. I'm trying to do this in 15 minutes or less. I'm about 4 minutes in. They were in a really strong uptrend. I love buying when things are making all-time highs on pullbacks, and that's exactly what you see here at the month level. We're looking, month, week, day. If you look at the month level, RSI, there's nothing to speak of yet. So that's kind of like the tricky part about playing new companies. There's no like history built up, so you don't see an RSI. MACD is kind of flat to pinching, which isn't the worst thing in the world, right? It's not like deviating too hard, but still you see on the price action. Price action is the best indicator, right? You see just an upward channel that it was in, and now it's kind of consolidating. It is broken the upward channel right now, so hopefully we can find some consolidation around this. I think it's like 26.25 level, and what I like it is because it's shown since March to be an area of significance. Right here it was respecting it as resistance, and now it looks like it's trying to hold it as support over the last 3 months. So that's always good to see, kind of see those areas, right? So the month level is interesting. The week level, it looks, it does look a little very sell-offy. You see fun of average. You haven't really had average price target to speak of at the week level since it's relatively new, but you do see, last week there was about 5.5 million shares traded last week, and it was over the average price, right? You do see RSI going down, MACD going down. So at the week level, it's not the best looking one, but I think if it can hold this 25, let's say 25.98, whatever that like 26 areas, let's just call it 26. If it can really hold this level here, I think it's really interesting. And that's what I wanted to kind of catch it at this level. Why? Because if you look over from March until, July-ish, let's say, it has been holding this area as significance, playing with that line. And the last time it did that, it bounced up to kind of test these all-time highs of, $35. So we'll see what it does at this level. But if it holds it, I think it's a really good one. And I think this earnings, if it's positive as it's expected to be, it can be really interesting. At the day level as well, like I said, hey, it's really holding at this area of significance. Once you get a little bit closer, you can see a little more finely what it is. So at the day level is probably the best way to look at resistance and support. It's 26.08 or so, let's say. So it's really holding that line. It's been touching it. It bounced under it, but as soon as it bounced under this line, it had a 3.5% day, right? Up 3.5% ish. The day that it bounced under this line. So it's really holding this line here. I like that RSI kind of was going down. It was kind of meandering at this level here of like 36 ish, and then you saw kind of reversal once it kind of touches that, which it did before, right? We've kind of seen that happen. MACD is also crossing to be bullish as well. So I think that earnings, if positive, can be a really good catalyst for this to kind of at least hold this area of support and then hold it into the future. This being a relatively new company, I really do like it. And when I look across other companies in the same sector, they have the highest margins at 46%. So that's always, for gross profits margins, a good thing to see. Cool. Next one I'm going to go to is PENN National Gaming. And the reason why I'm going to PENN National Gaming is actually Motley Fool's. No, sorry, it was a Seeking Alpha podcast yesterday on Friday that I was reading about, and I was looking at sports betting and stuff to get back into it. Their bull thesis is not specifically on PENN National Gaming; it was on online gaming in general for a few things. Well, we're kind of swinging back. At this time of the year, swinging back into NFL starting next week. College football just started this week. MLB playoffs is about to start. Basketball is going to come back October 13th or so, right? So you have a lot of hockey. I don't know when that shit goes on, but all these kind of sports are starting to stack up at this time, and it's kind of like the perfect time to start looking at companies like this again. And the reason why I picked PENN National Gaming, other than Bets or DraftKings or Caesars Gaming, is because I'm really bullish, not just on PENN National Gaming, but Barstool Sports and Dave Portnoy specifically. I think they're a really cool catalyst for this company. They have a lot of great content right now. Content is king. Dave. He's a guy that's always on Twitter, social media, is kind of bumping PENN National Gaming, bumping Barstool, buying pizzas, eat like rated pizzas. He's so fun, and he seems like a really cool guy. But anyways, so I'm more like bullish on that specifically. I thought Penn was kind of like when I look into Penn National Gaming, they're kind of just in the middle of the pack in terms of margins, debt, like financial indicators. They're not the best, not the worst, but I'm kind of betting on the industry kind of this year going up because they do have, they're estimated to have $1.5 billion in revenue. Gaming in general, their TAM is going to grow. Their total addressable market for online gaming is just going to grow this year compared to last year because states like Michigan, Virginia, and soon Arizona are legalizing online gaming. So those are just that many more people that are in that betting pool for these companies, right? So yeah, they are up. Penn National Gaming was up in the past month about 22%. We did see an interesting raise over the past month. So I would expect some of those profits to be kind of eaten up a little bit. So I want to see Penn National Gaming kind of consolidating for a little while and then slow buying into it, right? But actually, so Penn National Gaming does have an earnings report coming up on October. I'm not sure the exact date, but when it gets closer to that date, I'll get better about that. But they're expected right now, their EPS, same time year over year. So looking at this time last year, their earnings per share is expected to be 144% over what it was this time last year. So already kind of seeing those kind of numbers trickle in terms of people kind of being really bullish on their earnings coming up, right? Which is always good to see. But just going into the charts, like I said, try to do this 15 minutes or less. What I do like about Penn National is that either your RSI, it was running really hot when it was at the top, right? It was running at a high of 80. All we know is areas of 30 and 70, possible areas of correction. That's kind of what you saw here. It double topped here on the RSI level for 80. It corrected, and now it's kind of correcting the correction. So it's kind of coasting at the month level. And that's what I love, when it's kind of like not deviating down, not going too high, but kind of just consolidating. And I think that's what Penn's doing right now. You see RSI kind of flat, MACD kind of flat, price is kind of flat too, which I love that. because you do see a double bottom here at the month level. So that signifies to me that this 61.59 area is an area of importance or significance for this. And you see a reversal after that, after this downward trend. You see these, and it'll look a little bit clearer now, but there was a clear downtrend. Once it broke out of that, you see price and you see volume coming in, you see price action going bullish, and then kind of now we can kind of play with this new area of normal. And I think it's at the perfect time. Because if you look at Penn National Gaming, and that's kind of what I signified here, this is about the same time last year. Does anything look interesting to you? When sports specifically, and that's my thesis, when sports starts really ramping up, when you have all the big ones, college, NFL, MLB postseason, NBA starting around this time last year, that's when you kind of can see those companies kind of start taking off. And it's interesting because if you look at DraftKings, which I did, if you look at DraftKings, it's actually very similar. Maybe I don't have it up here, but anyways, if you look up DraftKings, they're kind of arc to being kind of all time highs was very similar, kind of took off at the same time. But anyways, at the week level, more of the same. I really like it. Even taking this out of the mix, right? This thing was running pretty hot, and now it was in a downward trend. RSI kind of cooled off. It reached a low of like 38.40, and now it's kind of reversing on the RSI is picking up. MACD is just starting to be bullish from 322. The MACD convergence divergence has been bearish for the past, let's say 6 months, and now it's starting to be bullish. So I think that's perfect. But you see that exactly downward trend here. Once it breaks that, you see volume coming in at the week level. This is the perfect time, I think, to start looking at it. Like I said, you do have this super hard green candle here last month, so I think people are going to start taking profits. But that's okay because I think you can start slow buying into it. That's how I'm going to play it as well. I'm pretty sure I'm going to play Penn National because it looks kind of good, and I'm a big fan of Jeff Portnoy or Dave Portnoy. I'm sorry, Jeff Portnoy, Dave Portnoy, because he's just a fun guy. But anyways, at the day level, you see that as well. You see kind of, and this is what I'm saying. Hey, over the past few weeks or whatever, you have seen that increase to price action, especially after it broke out of the channel. So I'm gonna wait for it to cool down. I have this alert here. Hey, when it touches or goes below this, I want to get it closer to this area of 76.52. That's just kind of what I'm looking at it and saying, hey, this is where I want to kind of buy it. So as close as I get to that level is perfect. It's building up some pressure up here at the top. It's just not ready to pop yet. But the reason why I do think I'll get that sell off is because you see RSI pointing down. It hit 70, which, like I said, 30, 70 are two areas of significance or possible divergence or reversals, let's say, at the RSI level. It hit that, and now it's reversing. Same with MACD. It's following trend there. So I do think we'll see some sell-off in Penn National Gaming, but that's perfect to me because that's what I want to buy. And I want to hold this for a little longer. I played Penn last year, probably this time last year. It was great, but at the same time, I didn't hold it long enough. All right, so let's go into the next one. And the next one is PayPal. And if anyone knows me, they know that I love I don't know why I spelled the whole thing out. They know I love PayPal. I'm a big fan of anybody PayPal Mafia. So that's Peter Thiel. That's Elon Musk. That's the Affirm guy that I forgot his name. But basically, there's a lot of companies that spun off from PayPal. Basically, people that helped in PayPal, the PayPal Mafia doing it. But yeah, going back to PayPal, the one that started it all. But anyways, I like PayPal for a recovery from the post ER dip, and I think late July. So basically, there was a really hard 3 or 4 day dip after PayPal's last earnings, and that was from a lot of things. But basically, that was from one thing specifically, and that was basically a dump from eBay. So eBay and PayPal had an exclusivity right to partner with each other, right? And as of that's kind of been, and that's we already knew that was something that was coming down the pipe. That partnership breaking up in terms of not being the sole payment provider for eBay. So PayPal was a sole provider for eBay, right, for their payment processing, and they kind of broke that up to kind of they brought in a different company to do it. So PayPal is still, I believe, used by them, but not their sole user. So you're seeing those kind of headwinds in their last earnings. But if you took eBay out of it, PayPal was even killing it even more. But you did see that kind of softness in their last earnings. That was perfect. I kind of wanted that to happen so I could get at a better price, and I think we're seeing that now. The catalysts that are coming up for PayPal. But other than that, PayPal had a great quarter last year. They keep on doing that. But there's a couple interesting catalysts that I'm watching over the next few months. There's this super app that is now code complete. Those quotes there, code complete for their new super app. And so now I'm guessing it's going to be the alpha testing. They're already doing it now, I'm assuming, and then beta testing coming before they kind of roll it out live. So I think once you start seeing those kind of hints coming out for their new super app that's getting released this year, you're going to see a lot of interesting tidbits coming out for that catalyst. That price action is going to start picking up. They just, I think over the last week, they introduced the idea of trading stocks and commodity or stocks on using PayPal. So I think that's going to be great. They have 500 million business profiles using, half a billion new business profiles being created. And right now they have that whole buy now pay later thing that they're doing. They rolled it out, I think, starting late last year. They have 3.5 billion total process just in the past kind of like year-ish that they've rolled it out. So I'm really bullish on them overall, kind of into the future. And that's kind of what I was thinking about as I was doing this. Actually, I was funny because I was working out this today and I heard the Motley Fool podcast. If you don't listen to Motley Fool, go listen to them. They're great. But basically, they had a preview of the fall roundup, and one of the last thing they called out was PayPal, which was like, great, I'm on the right track. And if anyone's seen Shang-Chi, great movie, go watch it. Awesome. That guy's a super good actor. He's actually in this one called Kim's Convenience. That was pretty funny. But basically, Shang-Chi actually, I think his last lines were like, I'll Venmo you, which is like so funny. And I was like, I'm all about like being like superstitious. And I was like, well, he just said Venmo. Like that was like his last lines in the movie. So it was like, yeah, I'm on the right track. But anyways, looking at PayPal, PayPal at the month level, it was super extended. It's still like we talk about RSI 70 and 30. It's all relative to the company. So this company can go 85 without reversing. That's fine. Right now, we're seeing RSI at the month level about 76, 79. And you do see, it was pulling all-time highs on pullbacks, right? So this is what I love: all-time highs on pullbacks. That's exactly what I started looking at companies. PayPal is exactly that thing. RSI is kind of going flat, even though it's extended. It's running flat. It's great. RSI can run hot as long as it keeps running hot. But once it starts deviating, going down, that's when you have to take into consideration, right? So even though it's over that level of 70, it's normal for it. It's still going strong at the month level. MACD is still going strong. So these two are kind of lining up to be like more consolidation, like running sideways, which is fine with me. And that's what you see price doing. So what I want to do is try to cash it at this new level of support of 271. I think that would be perfect to me because it has been an area of significance for it in the past, right? So at the month level, it's looking interesting. At the week level, a little. This is exactly when I like catching it when companies are crossing this 10 EMA at the week level to hopefully test this new 309 area, right? But you do see volume coming in. You see RSI rounding out at the week level. You see MACD coming out. So at the week, even the month level, it's okay. It's not the best. At the week level, it's looking really good. Like this would have been a really good week last week to get into it, but I don't think it's extended yet because this price action is still close to this 10 EMA. I mean, it's not like here, right? You see how far the price is from here. Would have never done that. But when it gets a little bit closer to this normalization area, it's all wave theory, Elliott theory, whatever. It's close to this level here of 10 EMA. So I think it's a great time to look into it again, playing right now and into the future. Those catalysts that are going to come, super apps, stock trading, and shit like that. Buy now, pay later, right? It's just all like the trend right now, and that's pretty cool. At the day level too, like I said, hey, I want to see some sell off. I want to get closer to this 271 area. That's what I would love to see and how I would feel good about it. If I don't get it, that's okay because you do see RSI like building up, right? So I see this testing this area, not selling off, but testing this area here because it has been building a base over the past few days at this 285 area. You see RSI going up, you see MACD going up. I don't know if it's ready to break this into all-time highs again yet because that's exactly what it's doing. It has a double top here at this level. I'd want to catch it right now or a little bit less or closer to this area of 272-ish, right? But playing the top of this channel. And I think it will eventually break out of this area. Maybe the third time's a charm. But we'll see. I think you're going to need some pretty strong catalysts to break this area because you do have two double top here. The last one was, 216, and then you had around 726. So about, 5 months apart, you still have that same double top. So I don't think it's ready to pop just yet. But I think once you start getting those other catalysts are going to come in for PayPal, you'll definitely see that area kind of blow the top off eventually. So I'm cool, like waiting and biding my time. And that's how I'm going to do that one. So let's go to it again. AOUT because they have earnings on 9/9. Penn National Gaming because David Portnoy is the man. And it's the perfect time to start looking at online gambling with new states coming online, making it legal to do it, but also all the sports hitting: MLB, NBA, NFL, college football. It's the perfect time to start looking at that. And then PayPal because they had a really hard sell off due to their earnings and their the whole eBay headwind that they had. But I think with all the new catalysts coming up, it's going to be a really interesting time to kind of blow the top off of that one. Everyone have a great time. What was my timing? 19 minutes. Damn, maybe next week I'll do it under 15.